Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, the essential hub where we spotlight the remarkable contributions of small and medium enterprises to our communities and economy. This is your host SK. SMEs are the backbone of innovation, serving as a catalyst for growth, community engagement, and sustainable practices. In today's episode, we will explore the intersection of education, entrepreneurship, and technological advancement, focusing on how these elements are being synergized to support and empower the next generation of business leaders. Let's embark on this insightful journey together. We are excited to welcome Chris Carter to the podcast today, a serial entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience in the digital and technology sectors. Chris is not only an expert in startup advisement and investment, but also an influential figure in educational innovation. As the executive director of the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Schulich School of Business, Chris oversees a portfolio of more than 200 students and alumni companies. He is also the brain behind Together, a partnership with Startup India and a co-creator of Digital Main Street, which has become a national program aiding thousands of small businesses across Canada. His role as a venture partner with Antler Canada further underscores his commitment to nurturing startup founders. Join us as we delve into Chris' journey and the transformative work being done at Schulich. Good afternoon, Chris. Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
It's a great pleasure to host you today. Chris, your transition from a serial entrepreneur to a leading figure in academic and enterprising circle is a journey from journey many find inspiring. Could you walk us through the early days of your career and what motivated you to shift your focus towards supporting startups and innovation within the academic sphere?
It's a great question. And, I've had a long journey with many different businesses, many that have been very successful, many that have failed along the way, and I've learned a lot. I guess I got to a point where I'd experimented with so many different puzzles in the world that were all business puzzles. I got really curious about the academic puzzle and what would it be like to go into a business school, a leading business school like Schulich, and play and adjust and experiment and be really creative and see what I could make out of it with a little bit of vision and a lot of help and cooperation from students and alumni and other faculty at the school. So I went up there one day to lecture and to talk about my journey selling my business. And I enjoyed it so much, meeting the students, all the energy and the passion and the ideas they had. It just made me think and question, what would it be like to hang out here every day? And I decided the answer was, it would be fun. And so that's what I did.
It will be fun because you are passionate about it, right? Like now, reflecting on your transition, how have your ambitious experiences influenced your approach to mentoring the next generation of business leaders at Schulich?
I was very lucky in that from very early on with my own entrepreneurial career, I had some wonderful mentors. And I think one specifically, I had the former chairman of Environics, the big national polling public opinion company. And he was really fantastic in that he would be very provocative in the questions he would ask and in how he would push me to think deeper about different scenarios or different possibilities for the business. And so I've really had a lot of those experiences over the years with very wise people, and I've taken little bits of all of those experience and all of those other mentors that I had and brought them to the table. But that's one in particular that I try and also, hold up is that ability to be provocative in the conversations and have the entrepreneur suddenly have a moment where they go, I never thought of it like that before. So that's a lot of what I try to bring to the table.
Right. Your journey underscores the powerful impact of leveraging the real world business insights to fostering educational growth and innovation. Now, the inception of Schulich Startups program under your guidance has been a cornerstone of nurturing entrepreneurship at Schulich. Chris, what inspired you to start this program and what were the foundational goals you aimed to achieve through this initiative?
Well, it's a very interesting story in that when I went up there and I had, as I said, I had that guest lecture and I looked around and I realized this is now in total about 10 years ago. And I realized that they didn't yet have a startup program in place for the school. They had it for the university and they had many different entrepreneurial studies classes. But when I saw that there was no program, but then I saw all the talent that was there, not only within the student and the faculty population, but within the alumni as well too. What really drew me to the opportunity was that it was all blue ocean. Nothing had been designed yet. So whatever like wild or audacious idea that I had, they were wide open to listening to. The thing though is that it was just myself at first coming in and volunteering and offering to design it. And then eventually the then Dean Horvath, he offered me the opportunity to work on this in terms of a contract, and eventually this became my job. But when he offered that opportunity, he only gave me like $1 to work with, other than my own contract. So it really forced me to look at what were the assets that I had as an entrepreneur in an academic landscape to work with and design this around. So this is why people refer to it as the Schulich Startups community. We didn't have the money to create a program in the beginning, but what we did have was an incredible sense of community within the alumni base. Almost 40,000 business leaders around the world that have all gone to the Schulich School of Business and are actively still in the business space. And I realized that that network, combined with the emerging network from the students in the school, could unlock a really powerful force, not only in creating new businesses for the university and the school, but also doing really good things in the world.
Right. As an entrepreneur yourself, you saw the opportunity and you unlock the door for everyone to grow, right? Now, Chris, like, can you share a success story from the program that exemplifies its impact on student entrepreneurs?
Yes, I was thinking about this the other day, and there's this a recent graduate who we're working with right now. His name is Abda Ali, and he has a company called Kiwi Charge. It's a service that brings a EV charging service straight to your driveway or your friend's driveway or the restaurant or the condo, wherever you may be at with your electric vehicle. And I was thinking back about the impact we made on him as he journeyed through the school post graduation. We really pride ourselves on not just having the academic experience of entrepreneurship in the classroom. It's there, and we have phenomenal faculty and professors teaching. But we also then intertwine with that experiences where the students get to go out and like study in the real world, working with experienced entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. So Abdul is an example, this founder who's now doing really well. When he was at the school, he had the opportunity to go out and to train under a leading venture capitalist in the AI space, a gentleman named Chris Mattis from Ignite. And so he went out for a whole term and studied under that individual, working on special projects. Then we were able to get him an internship with Relay Ventures, big VC fund, through the summer. Then as his journey continued along, he was back on the phone with us after graduation, asking key questions, learning about other things, having access to opportunities. And eventually when he started his company, then we jumped right in with him and started to help introducing him to countless opportunities and contacts all throughout the network, and then becoming a key advisor to him on his business. So really we're there to help the students find the entrepreneurial spark, learn how to recognize the opportunity when they see it, get some experiences behind them that are real world, and emerge from the school with a really powerful network to help them when they see that moment, see that opportunity, they're ready to pounce and ready to build their company.
The success story you just shared is a testament to the program's vital role in empowering students with the tools and the mindset needed for pioneering in success. As we have just heard about the incredible journey behind the creation of Schulich Startups, I want to take a moment to connect with all of you listening. It's stories like these just remind us of the power of a single idea to ignite change and foster communities of innovation. Think about the ideas you have been holding on to, the dreams you have been hesitant to pursue. Let Chris' journey inspire you to take the first step, to move beyond the fear of unknown, and to embrace to the possibility of what could be. Remember, every big achievement starts with the decision to try. Now, let's discuss about fostering global and regional partnerships. Beyond the classroom, Chris, your work in forging a global and a regional partnership has been instrumental in expanding the reach and impact of Schulich's entrepreneurship initiatives. Could you discuss the significance of partnerships in creating new initiatives like the Together program with Startup India and the project Jumpstart, which works directly with incoming international entrepreneurs to help them settle in the York region?
Yes, it's a great question. And we really, one of the things that helps us to go quickly is that we're not looking to control every project or lead every project we do. We're really looking for partnerships where organizations could benefit from having the Schulich School of Business, the Schulich Startups Network, and our vast community show up and engage, participate, and support. So in the case with Startup India, they reached out during the pandemic. They'd seen some of the work and some of the projects that we were doing, helping students who were in India get remote internships for the first time ever since we all went remote internships working for local Canadian startup companies. And so they saw that they were inspired and they reached out to ask us what ideas we might have. And we said, you know what, here's an idea. The world's a real tough place right now. Why don't we bring a couple hundred of our students remotely through Zoom? Why don't we bring a whole group, maybe 50 mentors from the Canadian innovation ecosystem? You get 50 mentors for your ecosystem and find an opening group of students in India who have a social impact entrepreneurship idea. And then we'll bring that whole group from Schulich and our friends and everybody around us who loves hanging out with us, and we'll help the young technology minds in India to figure out the business plans for their projects. And that's what we did. And, the first year we did it, we had 600 people all working together fully online. And we put the entire program together in
That's a
90
great
days.
number.
90 days,
Yeah.
we put the whole thing together. And so you have moments like that where people want to collaborate and jump in. And I think now we've developed this reputation for really bringing these like different groups together. You mentioned Project Jumpstart. Well, Project Jumpstart is focused very similarly, a different type of partnership with York Region and all the municipalities and governments within York Region, with a private sector accelerator in York Region based in Newmarket called Tree Frog, with the university in Y-Space, and with the Schulich Startup Program. And what I really want to do, and what the university wants to do, is craft a whole new standard for how international and immigrant entrepreneurs are onboarded into the local economy and into the local community. So as opposed to them landing through the various programs that are out there and being like, might be after 6 months, what have I done? Where's my support network in coming here? We want to have it lined up so that York University, Y-Space, our accelerator there, the whole Schulich alumni network, Tree Frog, local governments, local business networks, and CEOs from across the community are ready to help them succeed. Because we know that international talent is vital to the future of the economy. And these are brilliant, brilliant people with high motivation to build great businesses coming in. We need to collectively rally around them. So Jumpstart is a project that York University is leading with Tree Frog and with Schulich, but is one that York Region has invested $1 million over the next 3 years to help us design this really strategic and elegant onboarding for international entrepreneurs. So when you talk about partnerships, it's, something that is like definitely near and dear to my heart is, again, as an entrepreneur, I look at all the pieces of the puzzle. I look at everybody's skills and attributes. I look at this person has this and this person has that. What if we get a little more of that and add it into the mix, and then try and create really high impact programs?
I believe after listening to all your insights and your answers, I think like Schulich School of Business as well as the students, current and the students who might be joining, they are lucky to have a person like you with such goals and with such a far-sightedness and also the goals to grow these entrepreneurs. Right? Now, Chris, why is it important to ensure international entrepreneurs, specifically those new to York region, have the tools, resources, and support they need to succeed?
You know, just think of like the courage and the risk that it's taking to start a business. If you had all the local assets and network and relationships that were here right locally in Canada. Now add to that jumping across the ocean or like from, across the border, wherever you might be coming from. Like this is like an incredible leap of faith and an incredible test of courage to do this. So One of the things that's most important that we know both from entrepreneurial research and also from our own experience working within the community is that the faster that network access is made available to people, the higher the degree of success, likelihood of success there's going to be in the business. So if you are an international entrepreneur and it takes you 6 months to find your way to that key investor, this is so much is lost in the momentum of the business and the possibility of the business that it took you those 6 months. So if we could reduce that down to like 45 days, if you needed to have like a key piece of talent, if you needed to have an opportunity to find that first client, and we could accelerate that and cut that down, we think that that will lead to an exponential increase in the percentage of businesses that are successful in that fashion. And we're going to do some other things around that as well too. So last year, Schulich launched what's called the Schulich Venture Academy. And that is a program which is executive education for founders and leaders inside the entrepreneurial space, but teaming them up in small groups in the classroom with very senior, successful professionals. So for example, if you were to be studying venture capital in that small 10-person group, you would be studying it with Prashant Mehta, who is one of the partners from Panache Ventures, raised two $100 million funds, separate funds. He'll be teaching that group. Lean Lee, who was the chief financial officer of Wealthsimple and now the CEO of the Wealthsimple Foundation, teaching venture finance. So as part of this program, Jumpstart, we'll be providing these international entrepreneurs who are coming and setting up their business with access to those programs and paid for underneath the program and the investment from the government. So this is like a great opportunity to have them understand and learn the local context to these questions, but also to make a powerful relationship impact on their network with the instructors that are in those classes. And then other things we're going to do as well, like for example, we have it set up so that as these companies will be entering the local market, we'll have teams of professors and students working to do market readiness analysis for those companies so that even before they've arrived, they have a group here at Schulich that's looking at the competitive landscape, looking at where possible programs and relationships and clients could be, looking at how they can leverage different, community, cultural, and business networks.
I think it's not a great opportunity, but one of the best opportunity for entrepreneurs to get the real life teachings from the successful entrepreneurs that you have mentioned. Now, Chris, if our listeners, like business owners, want to learn more about the courses that you have mentioned just now, how can they get? What's the first step to getting connected with your school?
Yeah, they can. There's a couple ways. They can drop by our website at schulichstartups.com. They can go to Instagram where they'll see at Schulich Startups all the interesting opportunities that we're up to. Or they can message me, Chris Carter, and find me on LinkedIn. I'm there all the time. And I'd be happy to listen to their story and find out where I could plug them into different programs that could help them out.
Chris, I must say this, your thought process on forming this strategic partnership highlights Schulich's commitment to creating a supportive, diverse and dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem that transcends geographical boundaries. Thank you for tuning into the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We are going to take a quick break and stay with us, and we will be back with more insights and stories from the heart of small businesses.
You dreamt big. You made the leap. You and your "we're not stopping at small" business. Doesn't matter you've never done it before. You unlock those problems. You adapt to change. You learn to evolve. You're pioneers in challenging times, finding your own frontiers. Wherever you e-commerce, UPS is with you. So nothing is going to hold you back.
Nope.
Constant Contact delivers the marketing tools your small business needs to keep up, excel, and grow. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall.
Welcome back to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Let's continue our journey into the inspiring world of small businesses, full of innovation and passion. As we stand on the principle of exploring what the future holds for entrepreneurship education, I encourage you to reflect on the role of lifelong learning in your own enterprising journey. In a world that's evolving faster than ever, the pursuit of knowledge and the willingness to adapt are your greatest assets. Chris' work with the Schulich is a testament to the evolving landscape of education, where traditional boundaries are being redefined to meet the needs of tomorrow's leaders. As we dive into this next segment, consider how you too can be a part of shaping a future where education and entrepreneurship intersect in innovation and meaningful ways. Now, with the landscape of business and entrepreneurship constantly evolving, educational programs must adapt to remain relevant and impactful. Looking forward, what innovations or developments do you anticipate introducing to the Schulich entrepreneurship curriculum to address the changing needs of business world?
That's a great question as well. And, I'll give you an example. We talked momentarily there about the Together Mission program with Startup India. Well, as that evolved, originally all those students were volunteers, but then we turned that into a structured course. So now the students are being trained and studying in that course, one cohort class here in Canada and another one in India, because we do have a campus in India, in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So as we're teaching that course and as the students are learning about how to develop and build and assess product and look at opportunities, which eventually leads up to them going to advise remotely, but remotely advise the student-led company in India. They're looking at how to understand product deeply. So here's an example that I think is where we all need to go with education. I think if you were to rewind, many current programs are still structured like this. So definitely if you start rewinding a couple years ago, you would find that that's all taught in theory, and there'd be dialogue and maybe there'd be a project, but really the outcome would be to have a presentation that would be, these are our ideas, because we're business students. We're not design students. We're not technologists. We're not marketers. But now what's happening is that we realize that with this amazing next generation of young people, they may be business students, but they also are teaching themselves how to code, or at least use no-code products, right? They're also marketers because they've been presenting themselves on social media platforms all their lives. And they're also have the ability to think about design concept. So right in the class, as opposed to just presenting something as here's some ideas with bullet points, now we have instructors who are utilizing tools in the classroom for them to create MVP versions of the product quickly, right? Using different platforms. And I think with artificial intelligence, that's just going to accelerate so that we can start to bring that into the class in a really healthy way, which will allow them to utilize these AI tools to really bring their ideas to life and test and pilot things out faster than just going and doing interviews with people in business and saying what do you think about this? Here, we just worked on this last week, and now we're showing it to you, introducing. So these are concepts, of course, that are not unique to the startup world, but we can bring those kind of technology-enabled startup concepts and product concepts into the classroom as well to make sure that they're having a full experience.
Yeah. As you mentioned the role of AI now, how do you envision the role of technology, particularly as you mentioned AI and automation, in shaping the future of entrepreneurship education at Schulich?
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example of something that we had last year in one of our classes that was really phenomenal, right? I think it's looking at how to integrate these tools and be, finding the right uses that are really good, academic uses with high integrity. So I'll give you an example. So last year in one of my classes, we had students who were designing a potential retail concept for a retail business. Because although everything's technology empowered, everything is not a technology company, right? Some people want to design a retail related business. So the students leveraged AI to design the entire store. So they walked into class not just talking about a market opportunity not just talking about like what their product theory was. They walked in and they had the entire floor plan of the store designed so people could, in the class presentation, experience what this was going to be like. They even had AI design the uniforms for what their staff would wear. So this is just a small example for you, but I really think, that it's finding ways to help people to communicate and articulate and tell business stories a lot more effectively and express their ideas effectively. We have to be open to those ideas within the academic system and within the school, because this is the world they're walking into when they graduate.
That's the future.
So why make them wait until they graduate to play with the toys?
Right.
Let's let them play with the toys a little bit in the school.
Right. Your forward-looking approach ensures that Schulich remains at the cutting edge of entrepreneurship education, preparing the students to lead in a rapidly changing business environment. Now, let's talk about mentorship, Chris. As everyone knows, mentorship plays a critical role in shaping the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. What is your personal philosophy on mentorship, and how do you apply this in your own work and with the students and startups?
Yes, well, my goal as a mentor, and my goal in terms of working with the mentors and the entrepreneurs and residents that are in our program, is that we're really trying to understand not just the business, but we're looking to understand the person and what their whole purpose and whole sense and whole, goal really in life is. And, as time comes along, we look to have conversations to understand, like, what is the mark they want to leave in the world? What is the mark they want to leave in the world beyond money? How do they feel about their family and their partner potentially and spouse as it relates to, them being in business and the toll and the impact that can take on life? What do they want to be remembered for from their employees and their staff? What do they want their reputation to be within the ecosystem and within industry? So I think one of the things that stands out for Schulich startups is that there's a real holistic look at who it is that we're sitting in front of and we're mentoring and we're talking to. So that they don't just assume that we're going to suggest that their decisions are purely made only by economic outcomes, but could also be thought through from sustainability or mental health. We have an entrepreneur in residence, the entrepreneur in residence for the Schulich Startups program. Her name's Cherry Rose Tan, and she built a national movement called #RealTalk, all about mental health for entrepreneurs. And she's been a huge influence for us on thinking about how we bring that into the picture. So we're really looking at those values. And then, as I talked about earlier in the interview, the other philosophy that I have that I like to bring into what we're doing is the question of, like, how can we be provocative? How can we have that conversation with the entrepreneur that says, what if you did this? Let's talk about that for a minute. And, some of our young entrepreneurs, they've been in positions where they've been in a full-time job, but there was a moment of opportunity unfolding with their business. And we come to the table proactively and call them and say, I think it's time for you to quit your job. Not waiting for them to call us and say, 3 years later, I really should have quit my job in that moment. No, we're thinking of them proactively as a portfolio, as a group of people, and we'll make that phone call and spark that conversation that they might not have been ready for, but we think it's important that they have. So I think that's unique about how we approach mentorship as well.
Right. And Chris, can you share an instance where mentorship has a profound impact on a student or a startup's trajectory?
Yeah, I was thinking about one of these companies just the other day, and there's a company that we work with very closely called Blade Air. Now, this company has grown to do many tens of millions of dollars of revenue. They're only 4 or 5 years out of school, if that. 2 young undergrads from our BBA program at Schulich, and then a really compelling award-winning chemical engineering student from Metropolitan. And, together the 3 of them have built this company in air filtration. When they started out, the original premise of the company was very compelling, and the technology they'd built in air filtration was fascinating. And they started out very focused on the licensed production facilities for cannabis. Then they faced a moment in the pandemic where suddenly all those businesses were not operational, functional, and having the same kind of investment that had previously been there. We had a moment where they reached out and said they wanted us to be on the phone with them to figure out what to do with the company and how to proceed. My hope and goal with all the students and the alumni that we're mentoring, or all the people in external programs we work with that we're mentoring, is that when they face the three biggest moments of opportunity or the three most dire challenges in their business's life, they will demand to have us on the phone with them as a guide, as an advisor, as someone who will spend time with them and think through that moment. And they did. They reached out to us at that moment and they asked if I would jump on the phone and talk to them. And through that process, which was collaborative, it was like their ideas, my ideas, all of us together working together, we really came to a place where we understood where there was a huge, unique market opportunity that was about to unfold for high quality air inside facilities, schools, all sorts of places in the pandemic. And we worked together to theorize where that first opportunity might be and, who would be ready to write a check, wire money tomorrow to solve the problem. And on that call, in that mentorship moment where we were invited into the table with the founders, together, the group of us unlocked some real incredible theories that then proved to be real. And now, they're as I said, in the tens of millions of dollars. They have their own manufacturing facility, entirely Canadian produced, and are really improving air quality and ESG and sustainability metrics for many real estate companies and facilities managers across the country. So those are those moments that we look to and we really feel proud of as a school at the Schulich School of Business, as a university at York University, and for myself within the program to say, when people are facing their big moments, they tap us on the shoulder and ask us to be there to help them out, and we're making a difference.
It's always fascinating to hear success stories like just you shared. Chris, your insights into mentorship illuminate the profound influence that guidance and support can have on emerging entrepreneurs. Now, Chris, before we conclude, could you offer a piece of advice to our listeners who are navigating the challenges and opportunities of entrepreneurship in today's digital age?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that I can say, and I'm going to go way back to one of the first pieces of advice that I ever received when I was an entrepreneur. And I can't remember these days whether it was 22 or 23 or 24, but let's just say I was very young back then. And I had a really wise mentor who said to me, you know what, Chris, of all the businesses that I've ever seen that have succeeded or failed, there's one truth that runs through all of them. The businesses that failed did not do this one thing. The businesses that succeeded did this one thing, and that is that the founder of the company, despite their ability with great technical, expertise or appetite, learned the truth that their job was to turn themselves into the most productive, number one, and dynamic salesperson in the history of the company. And if they could achieve that, then everything else would follow. And I think, we're in a world where, yes, we're digital, and yes, it's easy to produce technology, and it's incredible, it's powerful. The cost of producing these incredible things that we're making is cheaper and faster and more clear in the path than ever. But I would say, don't forget that within all that and around all that and wrapped around all that is your mission to turn yourself into the number one salesperson in the history of your organization. Because if you can't tell your story, nobody else can.
That's really very important advice for anyone, especially I really like the idea, you have to be, even though if you are well versed with the new technology and you have implemented the technology, if you are unable to sell it, then what is the use? Chris, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights and experiences with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
As we wrap up today's engaging conversation with Chris Carter, it's evident that the journey of entrepreneurship is as dynamic as it is rewarding. Through this transition from a successful entrepreneur to a pivotal figure in academic entrepreneurship at Schulich, Chris has underscored the essential role of education, mentorship, and innovation in shaping the future of business leadership. The key takeaway from our discussion with Chris is the transformative power of combining practical enterprising experience with the academic insight. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Chris Carter for sharing his profound insights and the impactful work being done at Schulich to foster a new wave of pioneering talent. His dedication to nurturing innovative minds and building a supportive ecosystem for startups is truly inspiring. A special appreciation goes to our partners, including the exclusive banking partner RBC, exclusive shipping partner UPS, exclusive accounting software partner Zero, and exclusive email partner Constant Contact for their unwavering support. To our valued listeners, thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey.